The transport ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel with a shudder that ran through the hull. Ambassador Jiwoo Park stood at the observation window, watching the massive structure of the Galactic Council station grow larger against the stars. It looked like a wheel made of crystal and metal, spinning slowly in the void. Lights flickered across its surface like stars themselves. She had been to this place before, but never like this. Never as the accused. Behind her, Captain Hyun Lee checked his tablet for the third time in as many minutes. His jaw was tight, the way it always got when he was angry but trying not to show it. Dr. Minji Choi sat in one of the passenger seats, her eyes closed, but Jiwoo knew she was not sleeping. Minji was thinking, running through scenarios the way she always did. "We will dock in 10 minutes," the pilot announced over the intercom. Jiwoo turned from the window. She wore the formal diplomatic uniform of Earth's government, simple dark blue with silver trim. No weapons, no armor, nothing that could be seen as threatening. That was the rule when you came before the council. You came humble, respectful, ready to listen to your betters. She hated it. "Do we know who filed the complaints?" Hyun asked, not looking up from his tablet. "The Vorentines," Jiwoo said. "At least they are the ones leading the charges. But 17 other species have signed on to support them." Minji opened her eyes. 17? That is almost half the council. "Exactly," Jiwoo said quietly. The docking process was smooth. The council station had been built by a species that no longer existed, conquered and absorbed into the Vorentine collective 3,000 years ago. Their technology still worked perfectly, a monument to a dead people. 2 guards met them at the airlock. They were tall bipedal reptiles called the Karathi. Their scales were dark green, and they wore the silver armor of council security. They did not speak, just gestured for the humans to follow. The corridors of the station were enormous, built for species much larger than humans. Jiwoo felt small walking through them. That was probably the point. Everything about the council was designed to remind younger species of their place in the order of things. They entered the council chamber through a side door. The room was massive, shaped like an amphitheater with seats rising up in concentric circles. At the bottom was a small platform where the accused stood. Above, hundreds of seats filled with representatives from 43 different species. Jiwoo walked to the platform. Hyun and Minji took positions behind her, standing straight and silent. The lights dimmed. A spotlight fell on the center of the chamber, where the council leadership sat. 5 species made up the leadership, but everyone knew who really controlled things. Councillor Vreth of the Vorentine Collective sat in the highest seat. His body was insectoid, covered in chitinous plates that gleamed like polished bronze, 4 arms folded across his chest. His compound eyes reflected the light in 1,000 colors. "The council recognizes Ambassador Jiwoo Park of the human species." Vreth's voice came through a translator, turning his clicking sounds into words. "You have been summoned to answer serious charges." Jiwoo bowed slightly. "Protocol demanded it. The human government is ready to hear the council's concerns." "Concerns?" Vreth's mandibles clicked in what might have been a laugh. "These are not concerns, Ambassador. These are violations of galactic law." A holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed a map of known space with human territories marked in blue. Over the past 70 years since humanity joined the council, that blue had spread across dozens of systems. Humanity has expanded into 42 star systems without council approval, Vreth said. The territorial expansion accords clearly state that all new settlements must be registered and approved by this body. "We followed the procedures," Jiwoo said calmly. "We filed the proper documents for each system." "Documents that were rejected," another voice called out. This was Counselor Brecken, a massive stone-like being from a high-gravity world. "Yet you settled anyway." "The rejections came after we had already established presence in those systems," Jiwoo pointed out. "In some cases, years after. We cannot remove established colonies on bureaucratic technicalities." "Bureaucratic technicalities?" Vreth leaned forward. "You speak of galactic law as if it is a minor inconvenience." The display changed, now showing schematics of human warships. They were beautiful designs, sleek and powerful. Jiwoo felt a small spark of pride seeing them, even here. Humanity has developed military technology far beyond what is appropriate for a Tier 3 species, Vreth continued. These ships carry weapon systems that match or exceed those of Tier 1 civilizations. This is a clear violation of the technology restriction treaties. We developed those technologies ourselves. Hyun spoke up, his voice hard. We did not steal them. We did not buy them. Human scientists created them. That is precisely the problem, Vreth said. Tier 3 species are not meant to have such capabilities. You have skipped stages of development that exist for the protection of all species. Jiwoo wanted to laugh. Protection. The technology restriction treaties were not about protection. They were about control. About making sure younger species stayed dependent on the elder races for advanced technology. The display changed again. This time it showed green worlds, transformed from barren rocks into living planets. Humanity possesses terraforming technology that surpasses anything in council records, Counselor Telmara said. She was an aquatic species, her tank of water glowing softly in the chamber. Her voice was gentler than the others. You have refused all requests to share this technology with the council. We have offered to sell it, Jiwoo said. At fair market prices. Fair market prices, Vreth repeated. The council does not buy technology from Tier 3 species. You should be honored to contribute to the greater good of galactic civilization. There it was. The truth beneath all the legal language. The council wanted humanity's technology for free. They wanted it so they could control it, patent it, and sell it back to other species at a profit. The charges went on for another hour. Humanity operated independent trade routes that did not use council taxation systems. Humanity refused to open their research facilities to council inspectors. Humanity was too independent, too innovative, too unwilling to accept their place. Finally, Vreth announced the council's demands. Humanity must cease all expansion immediately. They must turn over complete schematics of their military vessels and dismantle half their fleet. They must give the council full access to their terraforming technology and all other research. And they must pay reparations equal to 30% of Earth's total economic output for the next 100 years. Jiwoo listened to it all with a calm expression. Inside, her heart was pounding. These demands would cripple humanity. They would put Earth and all its colonies under council control in everything but name. The council is generous, Vreth said. We understand that humanity is young and has made mistakes. Accept these terms and you will remain a member of galactic civilization in good standing. Jiwoo took a slow breath. She looked up at the hundreds of aliens staring down at her. Most looked satisfied, confident. A few, like Telmara, looked uncomfortable. I request 48 hours to consult with my government, Jiwoo said. There was a moment of silence. Then Vreth clicked his mandibles in approval. Granted. You have 48 hours. Return here with your answer. The council expects full compliance. Jiwoo bowed again and turned to leave. Hyun and Minji fell in beside her. They walked out of the chamber with measured steps, showing no fear, no anger, nothing but diplomatic calm. But as the doors closed behind them and they entered the private corridor, Hyun spoke quietly. They are not going to like our answer. Jiwoo allowed herself a small, tight smile. No, they are not. 48 hours passed like a dream. Jiwoo barely slept. She spent the time reviewing documents, memorizing facts, and preparing for what was coming. Hyun coordinated with military command, tracking the positions of every human ship in the galaxy. Minji compiled the evidence they would present, organizing centuries of data into a presentation that could not be denied. Now they stood again at the entrance to the council chamber. Jiwoo wore the same diplomatic uniform, but somehow it felt different. She was not walking in as a supplicant anymore. She was walking in as someone who knew the truth. The chamber was even more crowded than before. Word had spread that humanity would give its answer today. Representatives from species that rarely attended had come to watch. Everyone wanted to see the young race submit to council authority. They were about to see something else entirely. Jiwoo walked to the center platform. The lights dimmed. The spotlight fell. Counselor Vreth looked down at her with his compound eyes, mandibles clicking in what might have been satisfaction. Ambassador Park, he said, the council is pleased that you have returned. We trust you bring news of humanity's compliance with our requirements. Jiwoo placed a small device on the platform in front of her. It was a holographic projector, human-made and far more advanced than the council systems. She did not ask for permission to use it. She simply activated it. I bring humanity's response, she said. Her voice was steady, carrying clearly through the chamber. But first I must present certain facts to this council. Vreth's mandibles stopped clicking. Facts? We did not call you here to present facts. We called you here to accept our terms. Nevertheless, Jiwoo said, these facts are relevant. The hologram activated before anyone could stop her. Images filled the air above the platform, visible to everyone in the chamber. The first was a document, old and written in formal council language. This is the treaty signed by the Karathi species when they joined the council 240 years ago, Jiwoo said. In it, the council promised protection, fair trade, and respect for Karathi sovereignty. She changed the image.
Now it showed economic data, charts and numbers.
This is the Karathi economy over the past 2 centuries. As you can see, their GDP has remained virtually flat. Their technology level has not advanced. Their population growth has slowed to almost nothing. Councillor Brecken's voice boomed across the chamber. What is the meaning of this? Jiwoo ignored him and continued. The Karathi are not unique. Let me show you the Thessian economic data, the Pelthian data, the Rakan data. Images flashed by, species after species, all showing the same pattern. 73 species have joined the council in the past 3,000 years, and 73 species have seen their development stop the moment they accepted council membership. This is outrageous, Breath said, rising from his seat. You dare to present this propaganda? It is not propaganda, Jiwoo said, and now her voice was hard. It is data from your own records. Councillor Vreth, the numbers come from council databases. I have not altered anything. I have only organized it so that everyone can see the pattern. Murmurs ran through the chamber. Some species looked confused. Others looked angry. A few, including Councillor Telmira in her water tank, looked thoughtful. Jiwoo pressed on. The pattern is simple. A species reaches spaceflight. They are invited to join the council. They are promised peace and prosperity. But once they join, they are restricted. Their technology is classified as too advanced for their tier. Their expansion is blocked by bureaucracy. Their economy is controlled through trade regulations. Within a few generations, they cannot survive without council support. She changed the image again. This time it showed species that no longer existed. And if they resist, if they try to leave or refuse council authority, they are blockaded, isolated, destroyed. 17 species have gone extinct because they would not submit. The chamber erupted. Representatives shouted denials. Others shouted questions. Some sat in shocked silence. Breath's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. Enough! This council will not be lectured by a Tier 3 species about galactic history. Ambassador Park, you are out of order. Present your answer to our demands or face immediate consequences. Jiwoo looked up at him. She felt strangely calm. Everything came down to this moment. All of human history, all the struggles and hopes of her species focused on what she would say next. Very well, she said. Here is humanity's answer to the Galactic Council's demands. She paused. The chamber went silent. Every eye was on her. We refuse. The silence lasted exactly 2 seconds. Then the chamber exploded with noise. Aliens shouted in dozens of languages. Vreth's mandibles clicked so fast they became a blur. Jiwoo raised her voice over the din. Furthermore, humanity is exercising its right to withdraw from the Galactic Council, effective immediately. There is no right to withdraw. Vreth roared. No species leaves this council. Then we will be the first, Jiwoo said. We will remove all our personnel from council facilities. We will cease all trade through council channels. We will reject council jurisdiction over human space. As of this moment, humanity is no longer a member of this organization. Councillor Brecken stood, his massive stone body seeming to fill his section of the chamber. You cannot do this. The consequences will be severe. The consequences of staying would be worse, Jiwoo said. She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of as many representatives as she could. We will not be species number 74. We will not let you steal our technology, control our economy, and crush our future. We choose freedom over your protection. Vreth's laugh was like breaking glass. Freedom? You choose death. No species survives outside the council. We control the trade routes. We control the navigation beacons. We control everything. Your colonies will starve. Your ships will be lost in space. You will come crawling back begging for mercy. No, Hyun said, stepping forward. We will not. He activated his own display and a new hologram appeared. It showed human space, but with details the council had never seen. Ships that were not on any registry. Stations and systems the council thought were empty. Defense platforms around every human world. Humanity has been preparing for this moment. Hyun said. We do not need your navigation beacons. We have our own jump drive technology. We do not need your trade routes. We have our own supply lines. We do not need your protection. We have our own defenses. As we speak, he continued, every human ship in Council space is jumping to predetermined coordinates. Every human citizen is being evacuated from Council stations. In 6 hours, there will not be a single human presence left in your territory. Counselor Telmara spoke for the first time, her voice amplified from her water tank. But where will you go? Council space encompasses most of the known galaxy. Minji stepped forward now, completing the trio. Then we will go to the unknown parts, to free space beyond your jurisdiction. There is a whole galaxy out there that the Council does not control. We will build there. She activated her own display. It showed coordinates, locations in deep space far from any Council world. And we will not be alone. Any species that wishes to leave the Council is welcome to join us. Any people tired of suppression, of theft, of being held back are invited to free space. We will share our technology freely. We will trade as equals. We will build something new together. The chamber went utterly silent. Jiwoo could see the shock on faces across the room. She had just invited rebellion. She had just offered every oppressed species in the galaxy a way out. Breath recovered first. His voice was cold, controlled, deadly. You have made a grave mistake, Ambassador Park. The Council has dealt with rebels before. We will blockade your systems. We will destroy any ship that tries to leave. We will make an example of humanity so severe that no other species will dare to follow your path. Try it, Jiwoo said simply. She picked up her holographic projector and turned to leave. Hyun and Minji fell in beside her. They walked toward the exit, their footsteps echoing in the massive chamber. Behind them, Vreth was shouting orders. Other counselors were arguing. Some species representatives were whispering urgently to their aides. The chamber descended into chaos. Jiwoo did not look back. She kept walking, her head high, her pace steady. They crossed the threshold and the doors closed behind them, cutting off the noise. In the corridor outside, Jiwoo finally let out the breath she had been holding. Her hands were shaking. She clasped them together to make them stop. It is done, Hyun said quietly. It is just beginning, Minji corrected. They made their way back to their quarters. Their ship was ready. The pilot had been on standby. As they boarded, Jiwoo looked back at the Council station one last time. How many do you think will follow us? She asked. Some, Hyun said. Maybe enough. The ship detached from the station and began to accelerate. Within minutes, they would jump to faster than light speed. They would leave Council space behind, possibly forever. Jiwoo sat in the passenger seat and closed her eyes. She had just done something that no human had ever done before, something that no species in recorded galactic history had done. She had said no to the most powerful organization in the galaxy. She had walked away from the Council, and somewhere out there, in stations and ships across Council space, other species were watching. The human delegation quarters were small but secure. The Council had given them 3 rooms connected by a common area. The walls were bare metal, the furniture basic. Everything about it said that humans were guests here, temporary and unimportant. Jiwoo sat at the table in the common area. Hyun stood by the door, checking it with a small device from his pocket. After a moment, he nodded. We are clear. No listening devices that I can find. They probably do not think we are worth spying on, Minji said. She had opened her own tablet and was scrolling through data. Jiwoo rubbed her temples. The session had lasted 3 hours and her head was pounding. What are our options? Hyun sat down across from her. His expression was grim. Legally? None. The Council writes the laws. If we fight this in their courts, we will lose. They have already decided. What about militarily? Jiwoo asked, though she already knew the answer. We could hold our own systems, Hyun said. Our ships are better than theirs. But they have numbers. Thousands of ships spread across the galaxy. If they decide to blockade us, to cut off all trade, all supplies, we would hurt. Our colonies are still young. Some could not survive without outside support. Minji looked up from her tablet. There is something you both need to see. Something that Earth Command sent me before we left. She turned the tablet around. On the screen was a dense report, marked with the highest security classification. Jiwoo leaned forward to read. This is intelligence from our operatives in Council space, Minji explained. We have been watching them for years now, gathering data, analyzing patterns. And? Jiwoo prompted. And the council is not what they pretend to be, Minji said quietly. They are not a democratic body working for galactic peace. They are a protection racket, Hyun snorted. We already knew they were corrupt. It is worse than corruption, Minji said. She pulled up a chart showing economic data spanning centuries. Look at this. Every time a new species reaches spaceflight capability and joins the council, the same thing happens. First, they are welcomed. Then they are restricted. Their technology is taken. Their economy is controlled. Within 100 years, they are completely dependent on the council for everything. She switched to another screen. 73 species have gone through this process. 73, and the ones who resisted? She pulled up a list of names, species that Jiwoo did not recognize. Blockaded, isolated, starved until they submitted or died out. Jiwoo felt cold. How have they kept this hidden? They have not, Minji said. Not really. But who is going to complain? The species under their control are too weak. The elder species benefit from the system, and any new species that learns the truth learns it too late after they have already been trapped. Hyun leaned back in his chair. So what you are saying is that we are about to be trapped too? Yes, Minji said simply. There was a long silence. Jiwoo stared at the data on the tablet, her mind racing. 73 species, thousands of years of oppression hidden behind diplomatic language and legal frameworks. There is more, Minji said. She pulled up another file. Our scientists have been holding back. We have technology that the council does not know about. What kind of technology? Jiwoo asked. Jump drives that do not require council navigation beacons, Minji said. We can travel anywhere without them tracking us. Energy generation that is 3 times more efficient than anything in council space. Medical technology that could extend human lifespans by 200 years. We have been careful not to reveal our full capabilities. Hyun stood up and began to pace. Why? Why keep it secret? Because Earth Command saw this coming, Minji said. They knew the council would eventually move against us. We were growing too fast, becoming too independent. So they prepared. Jiwoo's headache was getting worse. Prepared how? Before Minji could answer, Hyun's communicator beeped. He looked down at it and then at Jiwoo. Earth Command is requesting a secure quantum link. Priority 1. They moved to the communication room, a small chamber with encryption equipment that humanity had installed themselves. The council had not been happy about it, but they had allowed it. Probably because they assumed human encryption was primitive. The holographic projector activated and 3 figures appeared. Director Seung Kim of Earth Intelligence stood in the center, his face expressionless as always. Admiral Daeho Shin was to his right, wearing his full military uniform. And to the left was President Yoona Han herself. Jiwoo stood at attention. Madam President, Ambassador, Yoona said. Her voice was calm, but Jiwoo could see the tension around her eyes. We have been monitoring the council session. We heard their demands. They want to break us, Jiwoo said bluntly. Turn us into another dependent species. Yes, Yoona agreed. And we will not let that happen. Director Seung spoke up. We have been running projections. If we accept the council's terms, humanity will lose its independence within 50 years. Our technology will be stolen. Our economy will be controlled. Our people will be second-class citizens in our own systems. And if we refuse, Jiwoo asked, then we face blockade and possible war, Admiral Daeho said. His voice was rough like gravel, but we have been preparing for that scenario. The hologram changed, showing a map of human space. But it was different from the maps the council had. There were more ships, more stations, more capabilities than Jiwoo had known existed. For the past 20 years, we have been building in secret, the Admiral continued. Not just military ships, but everything we need to be truly independent. Manufacturing stations, resource extraction facilities, agricultural colonies. We can survive without council trade if we have to. We can more than survive, Director Seung said. We can thrive. Yoona raised a hand for silence. She looked directly at Jiwoo through the hologram. The Earth Legislature has met. The colonial governors have voted. The decision has been made. Jiwoo felt her heart skip a beat. What decision? Humanity is withdrawing from the Galactic Council, Yoona said. The words hung in the air. Jiwoo stared at the president, certain she had misheard. Withdrawing? Completely, Yoona confirmed. We are leaving, effective immediately after you deliver our response. But no species has ever left the council, Minji said from beside Jiwoo. Then we will be the first, Yuna said. We will not submit to their demands. We will not be broken and controlled like 73 species before us. We will walk away. Hyun stepped forward. They will try to stop us. They will see it as rebellion. Let them try, Admiral Deho said. Our fleets are ready. Every human ship in Council space has evacuation plans. Every colony has defense systems that we have been quietly installing for years. We can be out of their reach in 72 hours, and then what? Jiwoo asked. We just hide in our corner of space forever? No, Yuna said, and now she smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone about to flip over a table. We are going to do something else. Something that will change everything. Director Sung pulled up another display. We are going to offer asylum to any species that wants to leave the Council. We are going to show them that there is another way, that they do not have to live under Council control. We are going to build a free alliance, Yuna said, based on cooperation, not exploitation. On shared technology, not theft. On mutual respect, not hierarchies. And we are going to invite everyone who is tired of being crushed under the Council's boot. Jiwoo sat down slowly. This was insane. This was dangerous. This was impossible. This was necessary. You want me to announce this to the Council, she said. Yes, Yuna said. In 48 hours you will return to that chamber. You will present our evidence of their crimes. You will announce our withdrawal. And you will invite others to join us. They will lose their minds, Hyun said quietly. Good, Admiral Deho said. Let them. While they are screaming and threatening, our ships will be leaving. Our people will be safe. And the species who have been oppressed for millennia will see that the Council is not invincible. Yuna's expression softened slightly. Jiwoo, I know what I am asking. This will be the most dangerous moment in human history, but I believe it is also our most important. We have a chance to change the galaxy, to break a system that has caused suffering for thousands of years. Are you willing to do this? Jiwoo thought about the Council chamber, about Vreth looking down at her with contempt, about the 73 species that had been broken before humanity, about the future that waited if they submitted. She thought about the alternative, walking away, building something new, taking a risk that no species had dared to take before. She met Yuna's eyes through the hologram. I will do it. Then we will prepare, Yuna said. The next 48 hours will be crucial. Get rest if you can. You're about to change history. The hologram faded. Jiwoo sat in the darkness of the communication room, her heart pounding. Beside her, Hyun and Minji were silent. Finally, Minji spoke. This is either the bravest thing humanity has ever done or the stupidest. Probably both, Hyun said. Jiwoo stood up. Her headache was gone, replaced by a strange clarity. Let us get to work. We have a speech to write. 6 months had passed since humanity walked away from the Council. Captain Yoonji Song stood on the observation deck of New Haven Station and watched ships arrive through the darkness of space. 3 freighters from Earth carrying supplies, 2 colony ships from the Thessian fleet, a small transport that had just jumped in from the Karathi territories. Every day, more ships arrived. Every day, the population of free space grew. New Haven was the first major station built outside Council jurisdiction. It floated in orbit around a planet that humans had named Freedom, a water world with vast oceans and small islands. The planet below was being terraformed using human technology, shared freely with the Thessian engineers who had joined them. Captain Song, a voice said behind her. She turned to see engineer Taeyang Wu approaching with his tablet. He looked tired but happy. Taeyang had been working double shifts for weeks, helping integrate different species technologies into compatible systems. What is the count today? Yoonji asked. 42 ships in the past week, Taeyang said. Mostly Thessians, but we also got a whole Karathi military squadron. They mutinied against their council-appointed commanders and jumped here. They are asking for asylum, Yoonji nodded. The Karathi defection was big news. The council had kept the Karathi under tight control for centuries, using them as security forces and soldiers. For a whole squadron to rebel was unthinkable a year ago. Now it was becoming normal. Any word from Council space? She asked. Taeyang's expression darkened. The blockades are still in place. Any ship trying to leave Council territory without authorization is being stopped and boarded. 3 species have been put under martial law for suspected rebellion. And Councillor Vreth is consolidating power. He has eliminated 2 other council leaders who opposed his methods. Yoonji looked back out at the stars. The council was trying to hold on to control through force, but force only worked if people were afraid, and something was changing in the galaxy. Fear was turning into anger. The council is making things worse for themselves, she said quietly. Yes, Taeyang agreed, but they are also dangerous now, desperate. An alarm chimed softly. Yunji checked her command tablet. Another ship was requesting docking clearance, but this one was different. The signature was not human or Thessian or Karathi. It was Council. We have a visitor, she said. Council diplomatic vessel. Single ship, no weapons active. Taeyang looked surprised. Are they attacking? No, Yunji said, reading the message that came with the docking request. They are defecting. 20 minutes later, Yunji stood in the docking bay as the airlock opened. A figure emerged, walking awkwardly in the station's artificial gravity. It was an aquatic being in a mobile water suit, the kind that allowed water breathers to move in air environments. Counselor Telmara, Yunji said, recognizing the Thessian council member from the broadcasts of humanity's withdrawal. This is unexpected. Telmara's voice came through the suit's speakers, translated into human language. Captain Song, I request asylum in free space. You are leaving the council? Yes, Telmara said. I can no longer be part of what they are doing. Freth has gone mad. He is planning something terrible. I had to warn you. They moved to a private conference room. Within an hour, Ambassador Jiwoo arrived via shuttle from the human headquarters on Freedom's surface. She looked older than she had 6 months ago. The stress of building a new society was visible in the lines around her eyes. But she smiled when she saw Telmara. Counselor, or should I say former counselor? Former, Telmara confirmed. And I bring information you need to hear. They sat around the table. Taeyang joined them, along with several other human officials. Telmara's water suit hummed quietly as she organized her thoughts. The council is dying, she began. Not quickly, but dying nonetheless. 17 species have fully defected to free space. Another 30 are experiencing significant unrest. Trade is down 40%. The council economy is collapsing. Then they should negotiate, Jiwoo said. Accept that things have changed. The elder species will never accept that, Telmara said. Especially not Vreth. He sees this as an existential threat. And he has convinced the other Vorentine leaders that if they do not destroy free space now, they will lose everything. Yunji felt a chill. What is he planning? A massive military assault, Telmara said. He is conscripting ships from every member species, building the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history. 3,000 ships, maybe more. He plans to invade free space and destroy every station, every colony, every trace of your rebellion. The room went silent. 3,000 ships. Even with humanity's advanced technology, those numbers were overwhelming. When? Hyun asked. He had been standing by the door listening quietly. Soon, Telmara said. Within weeks. The fleet is assembling now at the Council's primary military base. Freth is calling it a peacekeeping operation, but everyone knows what it really is. It is extermination. Jiwoo leaned back in her chair. She looked at Hyun, then at Eunji, then at the others around the table. We knew this might happen. We prepared for it. Can we win against 3,000 ships? Taeyang asked. In a straight fight? No, Hyun said bluntly. We have maybe 500 ships with real combat capability. Another 1,000 civilian vessels that could be armed if needed. But we are outnumbered at least 2 to 1, and that is being generous. Then what do we do? Yunji asked. Jiwoo stood and walked to the window. Below, the planet Freedom turned slowly, its oceans reflecting the light of its star. Around it, construction drones worked on new orbital platforms. In the distance, ships from a dozen different species drifted peacefully together. We do what we have always done, Jiwoo said. We find another way. Over the next 2 weeks, free space became a hive of activity. The defector species worked together in ways that would have been impossible under council rule. Thessian engineers taught humans about shield technology. Karathi military advisors shared tactics with human fleet commanders. Small species that had been ignored by the council contributed ideas and solutions that no one had considered before. Yunji found herself working 18-hour days, coordinating the defense of New Haven and the other stations. Taeyang barely slept, designing new systems and integrating different technologies. But the most important work was happening quietly, behind closed doors. Jiwoo, Hyun, and a small team were preparing something that would either save free space or doom it completely. They called it the open broadcast. It is a risk, Hyun said as they reviewed the plan. They were in a secure room deep in New Haven Station. We will be broadcasting to every ship in the Council fleet. If it does not work, we reveal our position and make ourselves an easy target. And if it works? Jiwoo asked. Then we win without firing a shot, Hyun said. Yoonji looked at the plan on her tablet. It was simple, elegant, and completely insane. They were not going to fight the Council fleet. They were going to talk to it. We need someone to deliver the message, Jiwoo said. Someone young, someone who represents hope. Not a politician or a soldier. I know someone, Taeyang said quietly. 2 days later, a young human diplomat named Minho Kang stood in a recording studio on New Haven. He was 25 years old, born on one of humanity's colony worlds. He had never seen Earth. His entire life had been spent in space, and he was about to speak to millions of beings across the galaxy. Are you ready? Jiwoo asked from behind the camera. Minho took a breath. He thought about his home colony, about the friends he had grown up with, about the future they all wanted. Yes, he said. I am ready. The recording began. Minho looked directly into the camera and started to speak. His words were simple, honest, and from the heart. He talked about freedom, about choosing your own path, about building instead of taking. He showed footage of life in free space, species cooperating, technology advancing, prosperity shared. He spoke of children from different worlds playing together, of scientists collaborating without restrictions, of traders exchanging goods without council taxes. He spoke of hope, and at the end he made an offer. To every being in the council fleet, to every person forced to fight a war they did not believe in, he offered a choice. You do not have to do this, Minho said, looking into the camera with earnest eyes. You do not have to attack us. You do not have to fight for a council that has oppressed you and your people for generations. There is another way. Come to free space, join us. Together we can build something better. The recording ended. Jiwoo looked at Hyun. It is good. It will work. If it does not, Hyun said, we are about to fight the largest space battle in history. Then we better hope it works, Yoonji said. 3 days later, the council fleet arrived at the edge of free space. 3,000 ships bristling with weapons ready to destroy everything humans had built. And the broadcast began. Admiral Daeho Shin stood on the bridge of the human flagship Unity, watching the sensor display. 3,000 enemy ships showed as red dots on the screen, arranged in attack formation at the edge of free space. Behind him, his own fleet of 500 ships held defensive positions around New Haven Station. They are holding position, his tactical officer reported. No movement for the past 10 minutes. They are waiting for their leader to give the order, Daeho said. He had been in enough battles to know how military fleets operated. Somewhere in that mass of ships, Counselor Vreth sat in his command vessel, probably enjoying the moment before he crushed the rebellion. Begin the broadcast, Daeho ordered. Across free space on every human station and ship, transmitters activated. They sent a powerful signal directly at the Council fleet, designed to be received by every vessel's communication system. The signal could not be blocked or filtered. Every screen, every speaker, every communication device on those 3,000 ships suddenly activated. Minho Kang's face appeared, and he began to speak. On the bridge of the Karathi warship Steadfast Honor, Commander Jiho Kwan watched the broadcast with his crew. They were conscripts forced into service by the Council. Their orders were simple: attack and destroy any human presence they encountered. But as Minho spoke, Jiho felt something shift inside him. The young human was not threatening. He was not angry. He was simply offering a choice. Jiho looked at his crew. They were watching the screen intently. Some had tears in their eyes. Commander, his weapons officer said quietly, are we really going to attack these people? Jiho thought about the past 6 months. About the reports coming from free space, about species working together as equals, about technology shared freely, about a future without council control. He thought about his home world, still under Vorentine domination, about his children, growing up in a system designed to keep them weak and dependent. No, Jiho said. He reached for his ship's communication panel. We are not. On the bridge of the Thessian carrier Ocean's Gift, Captain Yuri Nam watched the same broadcast. She had commanded this ship for 20 years, always following council orders. She had believed in the Council once, believed they were working for galactic peace. Then she saw what happened to species that tried to leave. She saw the blockades, the starvation, the crushing economic pressure. She saw what the Council really was. And now she saw an alternative. All ships in my squadron, Yuri transmitted to the 15 vessels under her command. Power down weapons. Disengage from fleet formation. Captain, that is mutiny, her first officer said. Yes, Yuri agreed. It is. Across the Council fleet, similar scenes were playing out. Not on every ship, not even on most ships, but on enough. On the flagship, Councillor Vreth watched his perfect armada begin to fall apart. Red indicators started appearing on his tactical display as ships powered down weapons and broke formation. What is happening? He demanded. Why are they not attacking? His tactical officer looked terrified. They are refusing orders, Councillor. The broadcast. They are listening to the broadcast. Jam it, Vreth screamed. Block the signal. We cannot, Councillor. They are broadcasting on too many frequencies, and even if we could block it, the crews have already heard it. Vreth watched as more ships defected. 10, 20, 50, 100. They were not jumping away to free space, not yet. They were simply refusing to fight. Send in the Vorentine squadrons, Vreth ordered. They will not defy me. Attack the defectors. Make them see the price of rebellion. But even as the order went out, more ships were breaking away. The Karathi squadrons were mutinying almost as one. The Thessian carriers were disengaging. Even some of the smaller species vessels were refusing to follow commands. On the Unity's bridge, Admiral Deho watched the enemy fleet disintegrate. Status. Approximately 700 ships have powered down weapons, the tactical officer reported. Another 300 are showing signs of internal conflict. Less than half the fleet is still combat ready. And those 700 ships? They are requesting coordinates to free space, Admiral. They want asylum. Deho allowed himself a small smile. Give them the coordinates. All of them. The Council fleet was no longer a unified force. It was a collection of ships in chaos, some loyal to Vreth, some defecting, most uncertain about what to do. And into that chaos, Ambassador Jiwoo sent one final message. Her face replaced Minho's on every screen. I am Ambassador Jiwoo Park of Earth, she said. To all crews in the Council fleet, you have a choice to make right now. Fight for the Council and their system of oppression, or join us in free space and help build something better. She paused, letting that sink in. But to Councillor Vreth and the Vorentine leadership I say this. You have already lost. Your fleet is breaking apart. Your authority is crumbling. Your entire system is collapsing. You can either accept this and work toward a peaceful transition, or you can give the order to attack and watch your remaining ships defect as they see your true nature. On Vreth's flagship, the Councillor's mandibles clicked in fury. He looked at his command staff, at the tactical display showing his fleet falling apart, at the future he had always expected slipping away. Attack, he ordered. All loyal ships attack the defectors first, then the humans. Show them the price of betrayal. But the order never got transmitted. Vreth's own communications officer, a young Vorentine who had served him for 5 years, quietly refused to send it. Traitor, Vreth hissed at her. No, Councillor, the communications officer said softly. I am just done. One by one, the crew of Vreth's flagship walked away from their stations. They did not run. They did not fight. They simply stopped following orders. Vreth sat alone on his command throne as his ship drifted powerless in space. The battle that was supposed to destroy free space never happened. Instead, over the next 6 hours, more than 1,000 ships jumped to coordinates outside Council jurisdiction. Some jumped immediately. Others waited, debating, arguing among themselves before making the decision. The remaining 2,000 ships that stayed loyal to the Council retreated in disarray, their commanders uncertain what to do without clear orders from leadership that no longer functioned. 1 week later, Ambassador Jiwoo stood on a platform on Freedom's surface. Behind her, the ocean stretched to the horizon. Above her, the sky was filled with ships from 30 different species. In front of her, representatives from those species gathered for the first official meeting of what they were calling the Confederation of Free Worlds. President Yuna, Han attended via hologram from Earth. Admiral Deho stood to one side in his dress uniform. Captain Yunji was there, along with Engineer Taeyang, Counselor Telmara, Commander Jiho, Captain Yuri, and hundreds of others. We did not come here to create another council, Jiwoo said, her voice carrying across the gathering. We came here to build something different. Something based on cooperation, not exploitation. On shared prosperity, not theft. On mutual respect, not hierarchies. She looked at the representatives from all the different species. The Confederation will have rules, yes, but those rules will protect freedom, not restrict it. We will share technology freely. We will trade fairly. We will treat each species as equal partners, not rank them in tiers of importance. This will not be easy, she continued. We have different cultures, different needs, different ways of thinking. We will disagree. We will argue. But we will do it as equals. And we will do it with respect. Young Minho stood near the front of the crowd. He raised his hand and Jiwoo nodded to him. What about the council? He asked. Do we just leave them alone? Let them continue oppressing the species that did not leave. Jiwoo smiled. The council as we knew it no longer exists. Right now in council space, 40 species are demanding reforms. The Vorentine leadership has been forced to step down. The remaining council members are negotiating with their own populations about what comes next. Change is happening there too, she said. Not as fast as here, but happening. And every day more ships arrive from council space, bringing people who have decided they want freedom. Eventually, there will be no species left to control. Councillor Telmara spoke up from her mobile water tank. We are not at war with the council. We are simply showing them there is a better way. Some will resist forever, but most, I think, will eventually see the truth. The gathering talked for hours, establishing the basic framework of the Confederation. Every species would maintain sovereignty over their own worlds. Technology would be shared freely, with credit given to its creators but no restrictions on its use. Trade would be conducted fairly, with no taxes except what was needed to maintain shared infrastructure. Military forces would be voluntary, with each species contributing what they could. There would be no tiers of civilization, no artificial restrictions on development, no suppression of innovation. As the sun set over freedom's ocean, Jiwoo found herself standing alone on the beach watching the waves. She was exhausted. The past year had been the hardest of her life, but she had done it. Humanity had done it. They had walked away from a corrupt system. They had risked everything. And they had won, not through violence but through showing others what was possible. Captain Yoonji joined her on the beach. How do you feel?